Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief Recap. This is Monday morning. It is where are we here? It is the 18th of November. And, it's really interesting day, Mondays for us. We actually have a bunch of guest speakers, so we had a really long session today, which I think the site members appreciated. They get lots of awesome usable information. We had, of course, Mondays, we have our site update report from our CTO, Sjord. And he's talking a little bit about how there's just nothing for him to do on Bitcoin right now from his perspective, using RSI studies on Bollinger Bands. Really cool stuff. And of course, he gave us an update on what he sees, with regard to the site. And we are slowly working towards having our signaling system online by the end of the year. Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. As you can see, the dashboard's slowly filling out. I do think, though, that the data is frozen again here. So don't, look at this like trade signals. We're still in our developer cycle. But we also, on Mondays, about twice a month, when we're fortunate and we're lucky, one of our longtime students, alumni, site members who really fell in love with fundamental analysis and top-down macro drivers, Jamie comes on, like I said, about once, maybe twice a month, and gives us a nice rundown of the overall macro picture from a global perspective. We just came out of earnings season, so some great conversations around earnings and who's outperforming and who's underperforming. Like I said, the daily brief was extra long today, chock full of awesome heady goodness. So our report here today is just going to be a brief overview of, what I'm sort of seeing in the market here this morning, as well as, just a dovetail to what I said in yesterday's free, lengthy broiler chicken show on the corn and crypto. So, looking at the market, I always like to sort of, start the day with what does risk on versus risk off look like here. It's interesting, we're getting pretty down coming out of the oil stocks, sort of floundering up at the top of the range, still trying to press higher, but feeling, though, we talked about the momentum of the market kind of waning here a bit. Also, too, getting a really interesting internal signal from our breadth indicators, getting a bit of a disconnect now. Dow transports are not moving to new highs, but the Dow industrials are. That's a classic Dow theory sell signal. So a little bit of a warning here that maybe our stock indexes are getting a little overextended. And like I said, crude's coming off here, and I don't know whether you believe the Bitcoin is a risk-on, risk-off proxy, but Bitcoin's getting repriced here this morning. Let's call it that. And then on the flip side, gold enjoying a nice bid here today. Bonds also enjoying a nice bid, and yen also enjoying a nice bid. So I think we can clearly see the correlation of these assets. The question ultimately is, these assets seem to be disconnecting a little bit from each other lately. They might have to play a bit of catch up, but only time will tell. So the point of the matter here, simply put, we have been warming to the idea of the gold and silver space. Was watching through the day the big gold stocks and the big silver stocks. Nothing really set up trade-wise for me yet. And when we do look at the biggest gold stock in the world, this sort of back and forth choppy here, I still see this playing out. It is interesting to see the gold and silver index is trying to even move off of these lows. We'll see what kind of legs this has. Could this AB equals CD its way up into the top here? Sure, it can do any old damn thing it wants. I don't necessarily have a trade set up here, but I can definitely see, and we should just acknowledge the fact that risk off assets are starting to catch bids in the market. So when we go back to our chart deck here, we can see stocks kind of dojiing up here, still pressing higher, no outright sell signal. You can see oil is coming off here a chunk here this morning. Again, no outright sell signal here on the oil. But, definitely a heavy day and kind of a risk-offy, risk on off kind of day. And then when we look over on the other side, bonds continuing to work their way up, counter trend rallies against all these highs probably. And gold, same thing, counter trend rallies. Could we probe up against these highs? Sure. It wouldn't shock me. Do I have a trade here per se? Not really. But I have said recently I am very interested in a few little gold and silver stocks. So I'm keeping a real close eye on things like Great Panther. He's kind of a dog in the space, but I do like the fact that he's coming into some really interesting levels down here. And then sort of another little junior kind of dog gold stock. I'm keeping a close eye on this Alio. And you can see he's right down at the bottom end of his range asking, well, do I want to turn back up here? So I'm watching these two names very closely through this action. But I haven't gotten quite ready and at the point to actually pull the trigger on the long side. I'm just still waiting. Kind of a fun conversation that we had with the current level 2ers that are working through commodity spreads. Really interesting trade that we're pondering right now, and that's the idea that seasonally we kind of want to be buyers of things like corn through the end of the fall harvest, and we want to actually be sellers of things like meats, which if the corn market does turn up in earnest, we should see meat prices come back down, and we're actually building another club on the TRI site, the Spreads Club, and seriously considering how we can get a nice spread trade in the grain and the meat markets going forward. So it's kind of a fun, I just wanted to demonstrate, show you that we have very different sort of tastes, collective temperaments on the site. And here is a really cool different way to trade the market, trading spreads, because margins on spreads are extremely low. And you're just simply playing the relationship between these two very natural markets and how they should move in opposites. So kind of a fun illustration I wanted to bring to the public's attention, trading spreads. And we are getting quite a bit more interest out of the level 2ers and even some of the level 3ers and some alumni as well to get that sort of spreads club going. And so I just wanted to illustrate, I'll be showing you more spreads as we go down the road. Heading on over to crypto just to sort of wind up this free offering for you. It's interesting through yesterday's broadcast, and of course, we've talked about this at length. Higher time frame people, this is, in my opinion, a horrible place for you to be picking your fights. Just got to find the right chart here. Where the hell is it? Of course, when I want to show you something, I can never find it right off the top of my head. No, I've lost it. Fudge. Maybe it's over here. Over here? Are you over here? Maybe you're over here. No, you're not. Darn. Anyway, we've talked lots about this recently, kind of no man's land for price. If I wanted to be a buyer of Bitcoins, like I said, I already have all these charts all done up, so it kind of sucks I have to redo them here. All right, so if I want to be a buyer of Bitcoins, I like this area down here. So you can see we briefly flirted with Mountain Man, but I don't think we actually tagged it. If I want to be a seller of Bitcoins, actually I like this area up here. So sitting right here, this is like total no man's land disaster area. And both longs and shorts getting ground up here. What a big surprise. And I think I had sort of said recently to this audience that, especially off the weekly charts, I did like the idea of hunting longs off of this low in here. If we could get like an AB equals CD continuation move. As soon as that low was lost, I lost interest in the long side of the market. Tried to go short here, was politely told to get the hell out. But it turns out short trading strategies were right. Go figure. Looking at this price action, one thing that jumps out at me, and it's been sort of on the charts for a while, is just simple AB equals CDs. And gee whiz, I don't know whether you guys see this or not, but doink. Looks like we just did an AB equals CD objective. So not a big surprise to see a little bit of back and forth off of this level now. And as well, I think we could make the argument we're now comfortably into reload zones. So the fluff has been taken out of the market price. So something along those lines, 78.6 and AB equals CDs. I wouldn't be surprised if we hit some sort of pivot there for this morning. What was really cool is we showed you this yesterday on the broiler chicken show that, our trending models, and I just have to make sure I get this screen right. There we are. We're showing dailies down, 4 hours down, 1 hour's all turned down, everybody turned down, and the day traders, I want to be a day trader. I've been sort of demonstrating this to you guys. Every once in a while, as day traders, you get days like this where you are absolutely bulletproof. This little model is basically 5 for 5, all winners, and no losers on the day. Way to go. This also, too, could be a testament to maybe at some time when you get these trades on that sometimes it's in your best interest to leave a little bit on the books, maybe at like a tenth of the position or something, just in case the floor just falls out of the market. But anyway, you shake it, the day traders are exceedingly happy today. And just a beautiful testament to, you never know what's going to happen in the market, and on a particular day like this, obviously the drinks are on this trader. That's sort of my summary of the corn right now. It was interesting last night when I did this sort of daily brief video, or broiler chicken videos. We were kind of thinking market was pushing up, and I even put a tweet out shortly after because I said I was going to comment on how that played out. So you can see the potential bullish bot. Fascinating. And I used to have this happen all the time as a prop trader. Market W is off of the entry level, runs up, hits the move stop to scratch level. And here is exactly why that rule is in place. Because in essence, this market, that was the end of the rally. Boom, you should have been stopped out at scratch. And of course, you missed this nightmare on the other side. Also, too, really good example of I want to be a day trader kind of thing, but just trading levels. And we had pointed out that the candle body lows, I thought that they would be an interesting trade location yesterday. And you can see tag of that level, return to the mean, in this case VWAP, and of course failure on the other side. Maybe you buy that level, sell half of your position, move stop to scratch, and in this case you walk away at scratch on the remaining. That's that same sort of conversation. How's this mountain man guy making money on the long side of the market when the market's falling apart? Well, it's exactly this kind of trading. As it stands right now, like I said, I want to be a day trader kind of guys. I think that they've, 5 for 5, they better be happy for a day like this. We've dumped into some key support levels. Of course, I want to be a day trader. They're just going to keep trading away. Who knows what? If another fractal comes in here with everything pointing down, I will be reporting the next trade, however it plays out. But I wouldn't be surprised if we've hit some sort of capitulation kind of event off of that bigger, higher time frame AB equals CD level getting hit. I even put out a couple question marks about these AB equals CD levels. So it looks to me on balance like we're coming into some pretty important levels here. And I would be sort of, with the fact that we hit 78.6, hit those other AB equals CDs that I showed you there a moment ago off of that other market here, I would be sort of tempering my bearish enthusiasm now until we actually start sort of consolidating and setting up the next leg lower. And really, the message across the board on the big cryptos, I think, is basically exactly the same. You know, we have Bitcoin just flashed its weekly bearish moving average cross. So I said repeatedly, we can't even think about being bullish until we, at the very least, see a finish to this bar. Then an open up of the next bar. Hopefully it's an inside bar, some sort of fractal. And then the next bar, if it ticks up through that, bars, the inside bar's high, then we get a bit of a buy signal. So at the very best, and of course today's Monday, just making new lows, this is at the very best at least a couple weeks away before we can get even the slightest bit of a buy signal. And then we look at others, Ethereum breaking the bottom end of its little range here recently. Wicks and tails like to be eating some pretty big tails, and of course bearish trend. And Litecoin just went and confirmed a fractal here on the weeklies, bearish trend, back down into wicks and tails like to be eaten talk. So there's nothing to get excited about here on these names. What is interesting in this market, and very much a similar conversation to what we sort of talked about yesterday, if you are crypto related and you are sort of rah, I gotta trade because the trader's got to trade, here's an example of a coin that had a threefold increase overnight. And if you were, of course, sharp and on your game, you should have seen these double bottoms coming in here. And kapow! And it was great to see on the site people posting, hey, look at my winner here this morning. Winner, chicken dinner. So, these trades are out there. This one, of course, it's all, and actually all three of these, all around this, are you in the United States? Do we live in Soviet America where government makes decisions for you as to what you can invest in, not you? I don't know. It was a funny joke when I said it yesterday. Now it's probably stale. But, in the lounge this morning, thinking about potential futures, here's a couple others, right? This is this storm. Hopefully everybody can see the W's coming in here. The W's getting confirming. We don't know what's going to happen, but it's there, just like this was here. And here was another one that we were kicking around the lounge this morning, this fuel. I mean, again, we don't know what's going to happen, but you can see the original W from back here. You can see how it backed up into a reload zone. You can see the nice consolidation. Oh boy, here comes another W. The names are there. It's just really a question of, can you participate? Is it a function of, where you live in the world and what exchanges and stuff you can trade off of? That's another conversation altogether that I can't comment on. If you can participate, you've got a cool head, you've got a trading plan, you have setups that define exactly how you act. Well, caveat emptor, and is opportunity now here or is opportunity nowhere? It's really just a question of your perspective. So I thought I ought to bring a few names that we're chatting about on the site to your attention. And of course, this is in the context that the broader, bigger cryptos are still very much in correction mode. All right, everybody. I think I'll leave the daily brief summary at that. Hope you enjoyed the offering. And of course, like I said, we had just an absolutely awesome, very extended, long version presentation of the daily brief today. And I think everybody got some really cool fundamental perspective on the market from Jamie. All right. Have yourselves a great day. All the best. And bye for now.